But God's good, and He's got a plan for each of you, and He's got a Jordan for you to cross. There's a Jordan River out there for everyone. There's more than one, and you're going to get through with the help of God. First verse, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and hope. It's Jeremiah 29:11. Have I not commanded thee, be strong and be courageous. Be not afraid, neither dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee wherever you go. It's Joshua 1:9. What are we being told here today? Not only is the Lord telling us to be strong and courageous, He's telling us that He's with us, and He has a plan, but also a plan for prosperity. In the book of Joshua, the Israelites have been led away from the captivity of Pharaoh. They were being led by Moses to the promised land. The land they wanted the land for 40 years, but the journey to the Jordan was just a short distance, so why did it take so long to reach the Jordan? The Israelites were leaning on their own understanding. They were doing what they thought was right, not what God tells us is right. They were looking at false rituals, practicing pagan rituals. But during the 40 years of being led by Moses, many fell away and practiced pagan rituals. But when Moses dies, God left Joshua to lead the people. Joshua and the people came to the Jordan River, and they were told they would be crossing, but the people questioned, the Israelites questioned, they said, this river is huge, I can't get across this river. How do you expect us, women, children, and kids to get across this river? And God's sitting there smiling at them. Be strong, be courageous, I have a plan. I'm God, I will get you through. Sometimes we don't know that God's going to stop the river, but what happened is, the Israelites went to the river, and right as they were getting ready to step in the river, to their certain deaths that they thought, the river stopped. God stopped the river. And they didn't know this would happen. Sometimes we don't know that God's going to stop the river, and sometimes He may not, so that we're carried downstream to a better spot. What He's telling us here today is that He'll stop it for us. And the funny thing about this story is, I was emailed on Facebook one night, and Alicia was like, hey, you're a good speaker. I'm nervous. But God used Moses. He'll use me. Anyways, she said, can you speak for us? I know you're a good speaker. I know you have some things you'd like to say. And I said, you know what, yeah. So right at that moment, I started thinking, what am I going to say to my senior class? What is it important that I can tell all of you today that you haven't already heard before? And God gave me this beautiful message about the Jordan River. He wanted me to talk about going across the Jordan River. And it was great. It was a great idea. And I said, you know what, that's great. But a few weeks later, I started leaning on my own understanding. I was like, oh, this story, let me talk about this story. It would be so cool. Oh, everyone would be like, it's such a good story. It would be great. So I prepared the story, and I told my parents. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I was waiting for the tears, the applause, the clapping, oh, that's so good. But it didn't come. They said, you know what, that's probably not the best thing you want to talk about to your senior class. I said, yeah, but it's a great story. But then I realized something. I was sitting there listening, I was making up my own story, and it was great. Let me tell you, it was a good story. Trust me, it was good. But it meant so much more that they didn't say, oh, that was terrible. It meant so much more because I knew they weren't telling me it was a bad story or that it wasn't good to present here. God was telling me, listen, I've got something so much better than you can come up with. I've got something, you're my tool. Let me use you. So anyways, the next morning I'm like, crap, I have to figure out something. I need to know what to say. This was yesterday. I woke up and I'm like, what am I going to say? And I opened up my Bible, and written on my notes, I had Joshua 1:9, be strong, be courageous. Have I not commanded you? And I was like, that comes from the book of Joshua. And so I reread the book of Joshua, or the first chapter of Joshua, and I sat there and I smacked myself in the head because I said, God, I'm the Israelites running through the desert, and I've just found Jordan. And it was just amazing. So up here, I'm being led across the Jordan. I think I'm not carried downstream yet, but sometimes when you're in college, and sometimes when you're having troubled times, and in front of you there's a giant Jordan, and you're looking and you're like, I can't get past that. I can't get past maybe my grandmother's death. I mean, you're a trooper, man. That's crazy. But I can't get past this. I can't get past this test. And God's saying, be strong, be courageous. I've got you. Take my hand and I'll lead you across. And that's what God has to tell us today.